welcome to the Big Dream Energy Podcast. Here we speak to entrepreneurs and creatives who are making a big impact on their communities and beyond. Today, we are speaking with an unbelievably inspiring leader in the nonprofit space, Miss Jenea Griffin, founder of Jamal Smiles, about how her organization fosters youth leadership and life skill development, and how she transformed a personal tragedy into a movement that is improving the lives of so many young people throughout Louisiana and the entire region. This is the Big Dream Energy Podcast, powered by Posadalia. I'm your host, April Lewis. And before we get started, please remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. And now, get ready to be inspired. So again, welcome to the Big Dream Energy Podcast. I am your host, April Lewis. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring up our wonderful guest. Let me add her to our stage here.
Hi.
All right. Yay. So I want to welcome Miss Jenea Griffin, who is the founder of Jamal Smiles. Welcome, Jenea.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yes. And let me say this name again, Jenea Griffin, EJD, because Miss Griffin has a doctorate in family law. Okay, so we're going to put respect on her name because that should not be overlooked.
Thank you for that.
Yes. So for all of those who don't know, as I said, Jenea has her doctorate in family law, but I'm just going to go down this list of things because she's a lot. So she is, of course, the founder of Jamal Smiles. Her organization has been recognized by the Encore Conference in New Orleans. It's been recognized by the Beyonce Knowles Be Good Foundation. And she has been honored as a top 20 under 40 in Acadiana 2024. She is International Miss Louisiana 2023. And, every now and then she's also a child custody mentor. I mean, just on the side, she's just doing so many amazing things. And those are just a small testament of all the work that you're doing. So my first question is, when do you sleep?
Hardly. I hardly sleep, but I do sleep. I'm a good planner. So I have my Google Calendar, my paper planner. So I schedule everything.
Oh, that's so good. That is so good. As I listed all of those wonderful things, for those who are just meeting you for the first time on the Big Dream Energy Podcast, if you had to define yourself, beyond all the titles and amazing accomplishments, who is Jenea Griffin?
I would describe, let's see, Jenea Griffin is someone that is, number one, a servant of God. She's a good steward over anything that she's blessed with. I'm a very, very humble individual. And that's not only something like I say about myself, a lot of people say that about me. I'm a very nice person. I'm giving, I'm full of love and joy. I love to spread positivity. What would describe me beyond the titles? I always say my biggest thing that I love about myself is my heart that I give to others.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that even, when we met during our cohort, it's like I just felt the energy. I'm like, yeah, I have to have her on because she's just so inspiring, so positive. So I'm just happy to have you here. And so I really like to just dive right in and talk about your amazing organization, Jamal Smiles. So for those who may not know, if you could kind of share as much as you're comfortable with the story behind Jamal Smiles.
Yes, so Jamal Smiles is in honor of my 12-year-old brother who drowned at Vacation Bible School. And when we were planning his funeral services and his homegoing, it was the third word that kept coming up about him, his smile. And so, of course, I just went on with life. Of course, the grieving process, but I had a difficult epidural. So he passed in June of 2015. I found out I was pregnant January of 2016.
Wow.
Yes, and I had my daughter August of 2016. So I had a difficult epidural where I went into grand mal seizures, ICU. had brain swelling where I were clinically dead for 6 minutes.
Oh
And
my God.
I had something that I don't think I've ever really publicly spoke about this,
Mhm.
but like I stated, I was clinically dead for 6 minutes, and I visually remember the representation of seeing my brother, and like I was out of it. I found out later along in life when I was well, my mom and my husband told me that I constantly kept asking for Jamal in ICU. And so I
Wow.
went into like fasting and praying and asking God, you allowed me, I've never dreamed about my brother like after he passed, but you allowed me to physically see him. I physically saw him bring water to me. Like, and so I'm like, what was that? Like you have to communicate. You can't just have
Yeah.
me experience that. And what is that? And so when I fasted and prayed, God showed me just me helping children. And
Mm.
I didn't know what capacity. And so that's how Jamal Smiles, because I wanted to continue his legacy with spreading his love and his light, and importantly, his smile, because smiling at someone doesn't cost you anything.
Mm.
So that is how I founded Jamal Smiles.
Wow. Okay. I just got some chills
Oh,
going. That is amazing. Wow. Yeah. So I gotta take a minute for that little moment. Okay. Yeah, so that's why I didn't even know that piece. But when we talked about it in our group, it moved me so much because it's like what a purposeful mission, like to stem from that to create an organization like yours. So what has that experience, his story and honoring his story, how has that kind of shaped the purpose behind your work?
it shaped everything. He is the driving force behind it. Because I know I'm like I stated, I'm a very positive person. So we always have free will. And I had to make the decision to say, yes, walk into this calling that God had put, in front of me, or I can
Mm,
sit there in grief and be upset about how things played that night and how he could have lived and all the what ifs. And so
yeah.
I chose to change and transform my pain into purpose,
Mm,
into giving back. So when those kids receive the scholarships, they're receiving the scholarships in honor of him and for his name to continue on beyond just, his debt.
yeah. Wow. That's so powerful. So after that moment of you having that experience, how soon after that did you kind of actually start moving into creating the organization?
Yeah, so this was 2016, and then I started January 2018. And that's because, like I mentioned, I was still trying to rehab myself with my memory. I was actually in law school at this time when all of this was going
Wow.
on. So it
Okay.
was just a lot. And I wanted to make sure that this is what God really wanted me to do because I did not know where to start with
Yeah.
the protocol. So,
That's
yeah,
kind of a different path than law school. Like,
yes, totally.
you could have gone a completely different direction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. Like as you started to create it, I mean, creating a nonprofit is hard enough as it is, just period. But creating one with a mission like that, that's a little more delicate to manage. Kind of what were some of the challenges that you kind of endured in the beginning as you started to try to create the organization?
For me, I think it was the fear of unknown. Like I didn't know anything. I
Yeah.
didn't know what filing articles. I don't know the protocol with grants.
Yeah.
Just not knowing one thing. But I used to work at a behavioral health center, and one
Okay.
of my coworkers he assists individuals with founding nonprofits for profit.
Oh,
And
okay.
yes, it's just like I mentioned, like I just had to say yes, and God literally placed the people in my life and
Mm,
sent me all the documents. He was like, "This is how file your 501(c)(3) and your
wow.
articles and get your EIN number." So
Mm.
yeah,
Wow. So it's almost kind of like it was meant to be because
yeah. I was like,
you
"Okay,
had the
confirmation."
tools. Therefore, even though you felt like you didn't know, but
Yeah.
the universe presented.
Yeah, and making sure I speak up. I had to learn to speak up because
Mm,
if I don't say anything, nobody's gonna know. And if I would have never said, "Oh, I'm thinking about doing this," he would have never said, "Well, I have this business that this is what I do." So
yeah. And see
yeah.
that's a gem right there because you know, and I'm guilty of it too as an entrepreneur or as a creative, you kind of have this idea of like don't tell anybody what you're doing because they might like take your idea or they might, say you can't do it or, whatever. But it's so important to tell people what you're doing, at least people that you trust and
Yes,
people in your circle, because you just never know how somebody might be able to contribute or how you might be able to help somebody else.
that's so true.
That's so good that you were able to reach out and find somebody that knew how to do exactly what
What I
you
needed.
were trying to do. So after you kind of got past that part, and you are kind of in the groove of your organization, how has your, I guess, leadership of it evolved kind of over time?
Basically kind of like what I stated, that just walking in the room, I'm like I said, I've always been a quiet person and I've always been shy. Even though I have all these I'm like, I really do not like attention. I don't like to say what I do, what I know, because I just like I'm a very, very shy and just reserved person.
Mm,
So being the founder and the voice for Jamal Smiles, it pushed me out of that comfort zone to
mm,
walk in a room and say, "Oh, this is what I do," to because I'm the marketing person. I'm all of these roles that I have to do
right,
that. And so
right,
it's really taught me that you're the only one that know your business in and out. So no one can ever ask you a question that you can't answer when it comes to your business.
right.
So it really pushed me to be a leader, to become members of networking events, even if I don't know anybody in the room. But
Mm,
I set goals for myself. At least leave with two numbers or two emails where you connect with those individuals. So
mhm.
yes, it definitely taught me to step out that comfort zone.
Right. And that's so good because a lot of times we go to networking events or something and we don't get a lot out of it because we don't have goals for going. It's just kind of like just go and be there. But it's like you kind of need to be intentional about
Yes,
going, because you can kind of start going to too many things and spread yourself too thin. Like you need to go to certain events that you feel like are going to be beneficial to you and your business and go with an intention and have a purpose.
yes, that is so
So
important.
yeah. So you wear a lot of hats. As we have said, you have so many credentials and done so many things. How do you feel like all of those different things, like your law degree, have informed how you lead with Jamal Smiles?
Yeah, so with my law degree, I deal with poverty areas. So
Mhm.
individuals that are, single parent household, child support, all of those things. And so with my degree, I can assist them with that. And we also have a program called the Intensive Juvenile Care, which we deal with youth that are recently released from the Juvenile Detention Center
Oh
for
wow.
reentry into society. And I've
Mhm.
been working really closely with like reform. So I do a lot of prison reform work, many calls, many emails advocating for individuals with our state representatives and the
Mhm.
senator. And so all my legal background, and my husband always tell me this. He's like, you just need to teach people the law because sometimes like people just don't understand it when you're looking at it or the changes. They were like, well, okay, well, what does this mean? But I
Yeah,
can really understand it and explain it to them in terms of what they're understanding, what they can receive. And
yeah,
so that's where my legal career always come. Like when they have changes, I'm like, you need to be voting. These are the things. I don't tell them what to vote for and who to vote
right.
for. I give them where it simplifies. Okay, this is what's on the ballot. This is the House bill that and you make your decision because some people look at it, get afraid, like, oh, it's a law. I don't understand it. I'm not going to do it. So just
Yeah.
educating our community is really important to me.
That's amazing because that is so true. It's been plenty of times that I've seen a ballot and the way it's phrased is kind of you could almost think you're voting one way when you're actually voting the other way.
Yes.
So it's so important to have somebody like you. Now that I think about it, I need to call you
Yeah,
every time before I
like
vote.
even like father rights, like a lot of fathers don't even know their rights. And they'll
Mm,
just like, okay, well, whatever mom says. And so
yeah,
that's why I'm like, it's so important just to have somebody to explain it to you in simpler terms. And then you can
hmm,
still go do your research, but
yeah,
I think that's very important, just explaining it and not getting afraid of the big words and the language and the usage that's used.
yeah. That's powerful. I mean, I can literally change somebody's life just giving them
Yes.
that, information. So speaking of your programs, can you tell us a little more about the programs that you have there? I know you give scholarships, you doing
Yes.
all kind of things.
So I have 4 programs, one being the main one, which is the youth mentoring program, and that's the one-on-one mentoring sessions that I do on a monthly basis.
Mhm.
We have a teen pregnancy program that's for
Ah,
teen parents, so it's not only geared toward teen moms because I was a teen mom myself, and my
okay.
husband was a teen dad, so I never wanted to exclude the father because that's very important for the child.
Mm,
When
mm,
we set up career advancement, if they didn't receive their GED, we get them enrolled GED and try to find out what is their career, what is their end goal, and not just something temporary.
right.
And then, of course, we have the intensive juvenile care, which deals with youth that are incarcerated and re-enter into just normal life and how to
Yeah.
interact without falling into that cycle again. And then
Mm,
the last program is the community involvement program, and that is for everyone. So a lot of times I volunteer just in my personal life at the diners, different nonprofit organizations. And
yeah.
what I've noticed is a lack of volunteers, and sometimes people just don't know. So that community involvement program is just something I send out emails. Hey, they have this volunteer event. You can come out, support, with Jamal Smiles and support this organization. So that's really helpful for individuals that just want to get involved.
Yeah, that's so great. I mean, because it's like you're helping other nonprofits
Yeah,
get support and get volunteers. That's really, really cool because sometimes it's hard to find ways to give back. You're just kind
yes,
of like, what can I go? Like, you know about the big organizations, but sometimes the smaller ones that need volunteers all the time, and you just may not hear about that need.
yes.
So that's amazing. So how did you kind of figure out the programs that you wanted to create? Like, did you kind of just see the need in your community and just decide, I'm going to focus on these 4 areas? How did that kind of come about?
So when I initially started, I met this amazing woman. I believe I was at a networking event.
Mm,
And she was looking for someone to mentor the kids in her neighborhood. She lived in an underserved area here in
mm,
Lafayette. And because she was doing Bible study for the adults, and she's like, the
okay.
kids, they need food and all the things they need. And so I was like,
Mm,
well, I just started this nonprofit, and I was concerned about that because I was like, now how will I get kids? I have the 501(c)(3) form, but how will
yeah,
I get kids? And
right.
so at that time, it was like 25 kids.
Okay.
And I was mentoring all of them in a group
A
setting.
lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. Different ages, and they all go to school together. So it was like it was a lot, but
Wow.
it really molded me and it taught me, yeah, I have to tweak this program a lot. And so that's
Mhm.
when I started one-on-one mentoring sessions. And I
Yeah.
was doing that for the last 5 years. We've been established for 8 years. And
Wow.
then I was like, there's so many needs in the community that I can't put all of this under one umbrella.
Mm,
So that's why I had to start separating the programs,
yeah.
so I can serve more on a greater purpose because the youth that are in the intensive juvenile care program, they may need a little bit more attention, consistent like every week than
Hmm.
a child that's in the mentoring program and they are fine with 2 sessions or 3 sessions a month. Um,
Right.
so that's why I was able to break up the programs because I didn't want to put everything together, and especially for grant funding purposes and looking
Mm.
at everything like, no, you're doing a lot. You're just bunching everything up and you need to just, separate everything.
Right. Yeah. That's so important too, to kind of make it clear to people what services they can receive from you because they
Yeah.
may not realize all the things that you do. But when you kind of segment it out like that, they're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that applies to me. Like, I need to be in that specific thing. So that's
Yes.
really good that you did that. So speaking of all those services, as you've gone along and provided all this value to these kids, would you say there's like a moment? I'm sure there's plenty, but that kind of affirm that you are moving in the right direction and making a difference with your company.
Yes. It would be a participant that's in my teen pregnancy program.
Mm,
I encourage her not to, and I did ask her, I was like, is it okay if I talk about you? If this question is asked,
yeah.
on the podcast, she was like, oh, definitely. And so I encourage her not to drop out of high school because I told her
Mm,
once you drop out of high school, life is going to happen. And it's going to be
yeah.
things that's going to happen that you're going to not even expect to happen. And
Mm,
so she dropped out of high school and she was blessed with a baby boy. Um,
okay.
And so we worked really, really hard for her to get her GED.
Mhm.
She got her GED, she graduated, and then she
Wow.
went on to pharmacy tech school. And
Wow.
she would consistently write me just randomly text, and she'll tell me in person as well that I would not have done this without you. And just
Wow.
like appointments for her son, I assist with that, enrolling him in school, with housing, furnishing her apartment. Like we do
Wow.
so much. And just to know, when you know you're doing a lot, it's a different feeling when the person that you're helping just show gratitude. And she
Mhm.
often reminds me, she's like, I would not be here if it
Wow.
wasn't for you. And I just needed somebody to push me. And I'm like, we're not giving up. Like, you can take a break, but we're not giving up. Like, I'm gonna give you the
Yeah.
best of love. Um,
Right.
that story has always, like, I'm just amazed because I remember the young girl, that she started, and how
Mm.
she felt like her life just, of course, when you have a child young, because I felt the same way, but just
Yeah.
having that person to push you. Well, if
Mhm.
you don't have the energy today, or if you don't know where to start, I'm going to start for you. Here's the
Yeah.
application. All you got to do is complete it. And just
That's
being that
amazing.
support system. So that story alone just affirms to me that, Jenea, you are doing the work.
Wow. That's amazing because I mean, it's one thing to just tell somebody they can do it, but like you're speaking from your own personal experience. Like, no, I know you could do it
Yeah.
because I did it. So get on it, girl. That's really, really amazing. And I know for a lot of kids, just having somebody that believes they can do
Yeah.
it, because some people just count them out and write them off like, oh, you made that mistake, your life is
Yeah.
over,
That
and
is so
that's
true.
not the truth. Like you can continue on
Yes.
after something like that. So them having you there, I know is just invaluable to them.
Yeah, because even me being a teen mom, I remember, and I was pregnant in 2009. And
Mm,
so we didn't really have, like, I don't even think Instagram or Facebook was invented yet. It was
yeah.
MySpace, but it was more of like a friends thing. So blogs
Mhm.
were really big, like discussion blogs and discussion posts. And I always say I'm a nerd. I love reading. So I remember like writing a question on this blog post, like, how many of like about teen moms? Like, how are y'all
Yeah.
all successful? Did y'all graduate high school, college?
Mm,
And everyone had a horrible story. And
mm,
I sat on my bed, I said, I will not be a statistic. Like I
yeah.
have to show, yes, we all make just different mistakes in life, but
Mhm.
we have the option that we can do better if you want to really do better.
Yeah.
So that's where I tell the kids, like, it's okay. It doesn't matter about your upbringing. You are in control of your life. And
Mhm.
what's in front of you, it doesn't matter if you're rich, you're poor, nothing. You are
Yeah.
in control.
Right. Yeah. That's such a good message because, that's another thing. There's so many things that have happened in people's families. It's kind of something that happens generationally. And
Yeah.
so those kids might think, well, my parents, same thing happened with them and they didn't graduate or, whatever it is. And so they feel like I can't do it either. But
Yeah.
that's so good that they have you there to tell them that that story doesn't necessarily have to be their story. They
Yeah.
can make their own uh path in the world.
Yeah.
So that is awesome. So all that said, I mean, you do so much for other people all the time. When it comes to your own mental health and peace and all of that, how do you nurture your own health? Like, how do you give back to yourself?
I give back with number one, like I said, I'm a very spiritual person.
Mm,
So with prayer and getting in that moment of meditation where I
yeah.
can be still, because I've learned from just life. I'm a road runner. Like I'm on the go all the time. I feel like I'm working all the time because I have so much to do. But
Yeah.
it's so important to be still. And then I've been protecting this within the last like 2 years. I've learned that I have to be, because of just the person that I am. I'm always, anyone call, I'm picking up the phone, or
Mm,
and I look and I'm like 4 hours passed and I had this that was submitted tonight, and then on top of work, my kids' activities,
yeah.
that I've learned I have to protect my space, my energy, my mind, my
Hmm.
ears. Like it's certain things I wouldn't watch. It's certain things I don't listen to,
Yeah.
because I'm, like I said, I'm so just in tune with everything. And I know, like, even a show, I can't even watch a show that's so sad because I know it's gonna put things in my mind that now I'm sitting
Yeah.
like, oh my God. And I'm like, it's a show. So I've learned to just protect me as a whole. And
Mm,
knowing that because I'm pouring into other people, I always have to be my cup always have to overflow. So
yeah.
if I'm like 90%, I'm gonna hibernate. Like I'm going to
Mhm.
isolate myself to get myself back to where I
Yeah.
need to be. And that's with, like I said, with prayer, just resting. I didn't
Mm,
know that it was so many, like I was 5 years straight in the nonprofit world. I didn't
mhm.
even rest. And like I said, I was in law school. I was working full time. And I
Wow.
said, you have to be still and rest and
Yeah.
knowing that that's okay. And that's
Mhm.
why I nurture myself, being like, it's okay if it doesn't happen today. You do a lot. You do a lot.
That's so true. I mean, because that's one thing that we forget is that rest is productive.
Yes,
Like, it's a part of the process. Like, if you don't rest, then eventually your body will just make you rest.
yes. And I'm like,
So,
I don't want to be sit down. Like I don't want to be in the corner. Like you have no other option to rest.
right. So that's so good because that's such a good point that if you're not full, you won't have anything else to give anybody else.
Yeah.
So that's so good and such a good lesson to teach your girls.
Yes,
As they, as I'm sure they will have many accomplishments as well. So reminding them that rest is okay.
it's very important.
Yeah. So in that same vein, okay, so big dream energy, of course, is all about dreaming big, even when it's hard. So on the days that it is hard, which I know it can be, a nonprofit and 1,000 other things, um, what kind of gives you the energy and keeps your dream and your vision alive?
I would say the families that I serve.
Mm,
I am so blessed with amazing kids, amazing families, where it doesn't feel like, oh my God, I have to go do this, or it's
mm,
like they fill me up.
yeah.
They give me the motive to and the encouragement to keep going.
Mm,
They're random texts, my mentees that say, hey, I don't know how I'm going to make this without you, or our conversations is what keep me going, or when they even make mistakes and
mm,
they send me a text before mom even tell me, that keeps me going. So I'm like, I know I'm doing what I need that needs to be done.
yeah.
Um, and I know that there's individuals that are truly looking up to me, that admire me. And
Mm,
that's what I told them. One thing that you're going to know and separate from me and a lot of people, just in life in general, because I talk to
mm,
them like I'm their big sister,
mm.
is that I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here on the good days and I'm going to be here on the bad days. I'm going to tell you what's right and I'm going to tell you what's wrong, but I'm going to love you through it all. And so
Mm,
that's what keep me going.
wow. Can you be my mentor? No, that is wonderful. So looking ahead, what do you kind of see as the long-term vision for Jamal Smiles?
My long-term vision, and I've always battled with this because, like I said, I'm from New Orleans, but I live in Lafayette now. And
Okay.
I would love an on-site location in New Orleans. But
Mm,
lately, what I've learned is that I say, God, whatever is in your will for me, that's gonna I'm okay with that. And so
right.
but my end goal is to have an on-site location in underserved communities
Okay.
where the youth can come to, where they have food, on-site tutoring, on-site counselors, like an in-house safe haven for them.
Mm,
That would be my aha with my calling,
mm.
and like, okay, you did it.
You did that,
So
yeah.
that is my definitely my end goal, something that I can leave that legacy on, not only for myself, but for my kids, for them to pick up and continue that wherever they may go in life.
Yeah, and that would be amazing. I know that would help even more people just to have a safe space to go and feel supported.
Yes.
So, okay. So, it's one thing I wanted to ask about personally because I'm a fellow children's book author, and I wanted to hear more about your book, A Day with Our Uncle. Can you tell us a little bit about like that story, how that came about, and what the book is all about?
Yes. So my youngest daughter, like I mentioned, I had her after my brother passed away.
Mm,
So I was grieving a lot when I was pregnant with her. And
okay.
when she was born, we of course had pictures of him, and she'll ask who is this? And I'm like, Uncle Maul. And she'll be like, I want to kiss
Mhm.
Uncle Maul. And so
Aw.
one night she came into my room and she was just crying, like boohoo crying. She was like, "It's not fair that I didn't get to meet my Uncle Mal." And
Mm,
I was just like, "I have to do something." And I was like, and I called my mom and I'm like, "I don't know if I should call her because, that's my mom. She lost her child and she's
yeah.
grieving." But as me as being, I'm gonna always be a little girl when it comes to my parents. I'm like, "Mom,
Mhm.
what do I do?" Like, I
Yeah.
don't have the answer to everything else. I don't have the answer to this. And so that's when I formed, and I said, what if I write a book that give her a day in the life with her Uncle Jamal,
Wow.
something that she can carry, something that she can actually see, she can
Mm,
read to her friends,
yeah.
and so that's when the book came about. And I wanted her to find an eventful day. And so my brother was very heavy in sports, track,
Mm,
football, basketball. So and he always want his Steph Curry was his favorite player. And actually, when they won the championship was the night he passed away. Steph
Wow.
Curry. And so I wanted to write because he was going to go to the pros. I'm like, I believe you. Um,
Mhm.
that if he was an NBA player, he had to go to training camp. So he wasn't going to be around so much. And so
Right.
the book is about a basketball player, which is the uncle. He comes back for a weekend to spend time with his niece. His nieces are with their grandmother, which is my mom. And they
Mhm.
have an eventful day. Just do everything that you think of, like fun. And then
Yeah.
he come back and say, well, I have to go off back to work, back we have training camp. And so that was a book for them. It was
Right.
something that my daughters and my mom can have, and for at least that moment of non-grief, to
Yeah.
feel some type of happiness and some type
Mhm.
of joy, and knowing that we are in control of our mind sometimes, in a sense, to say, well, what is a day like? What could have
Yeah.
been? Let's imagine that, even though we know that won't happen, but
Mhm.
just for a few seconds, we could imagine something to give us some sense of peace. And that
Yeah.
was my daughters and my mom, that book.
Wow. That is just beautiful. I mean, her having or your daughters having something tangible about their uncle that they can anytime they're thinking about him, they can go back to it and look through it and read it and kind of get a sense of what it would have been like
Yeah.
to spend time with him. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful. And that's available on your website, right?
Yes, and on Amazon or Barnes& and Noble.
Okay. Very cool. So you talked about this a little bit already, but just to kind of recap, when you think about your vision and your end goal for Jamal Smiles, what legacy do you hope to leave with Jamal Smiles and your life's work?
Yeah, so I want my legacy to be a representation of, not you don't have to know someone, you don't have to be born in that city, you don't have to be rich to give back.
Mm,
I want, like I always tell my daughters, these three things. I said, be nice, be kind, but most importantly, be yourself. And
mm,
helping others is important, even if you know you're not going to get anything in return.
yeah.
But being a good servant, serving others, even if you know, okay, well, I know I don't have money to give, to the homeless. Well, you can
Mm,
serve at the local diner. And so I want my legacy to just do, like, not to worry about what I'm going to get in return, not to worry about
yeah.
a picture, but just helping others, showing up for others, supporting them. Like, I was on Facebook, and I don't like Facebook. I'll get on Facebook, and this is the only reason I still have it, is because it'll just be these random posts in the community. Hey, our house burned down, or hey, I'm a single mom, I just moved, and do anybody have any furniture? And I called my husband, I'm like, we got a storage unit with just all this furniture. Let's get your truck, and we've done that so many times, just
Mm,
dropping furniture, supporting other families. And that is what I want my legacy to be, is just helping others, because
yeah.
your one step of help can turn somebody's life around.
Yeah, that's really powerful because so many times we kind of second guess our ability to really make a difference, because we're like, well, I don't have $1 million to give anybody, but it's like you don't have to help everybody every day. You just helping one person, you change that
One.
person's day or their life, even
Yeah.
just by being there. So that's a really, really important note. And we have a lot of entrepreneurs and creative entrepreneurs that watch this show. And so, what's a message, I guess, that you could give to them about just your experience in creating something like this and how to keep going when the going gets tough, as they say, while you're doing it and that whole process.
Yeah, so I would say know what your purpose is and know what you're passionate about. In
Mm,
those days where it get really rough, you need to have something tangible where it's a letter you write to yourself. I have a letter I wrote to myself of when
mm,
I started, why I started it, what are my goals, even though those goals, of course, will change over time.
yeah,
But to know that no matter when, oh, sorry, your grant wasn't, approved, or, you still keep going. And
yeah,
knowing that if this is meant for you, it's going to happen. It's not going to happen when you want it. It's going to happen at the perfect time, but you have to be willing to be open to receive it. Put
mm,
yourself in rooms where you're going to expand networking groups. Don't even cut off like, oh, well, I don't live here. Why would I go to a networking event here? You never
mm.
know. Someone may know something that can help you expand your organization. So if this is something that you want to do, you have to make a conscious effort to say, this is what I want to do, and not give up when it get hard, because nothing in life is easy.
That is true. Nothing worth having. Um, so, what is something you wish that more people understood about purpose driven work that is often not talked about?
I would say our hard work. I don't think
Mm,
people realize how they may see the event, they may see the pictures, and they're like, oh, okay, they're doing that. But they don't really see the hard work. And even for myself, I didn't realize the hard work that I was putting in until my husband and my kids would say, you're still working? And it's like 1 o'clock, and I look down, and my dog and my daughter is sleeping by my computer.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm like, it is a lot of hard work. And what
yeah.
I've been doing the last 3 years is I created like a sheet of everything I do when I'm anything dealing with Jamal Smiles. And
Mm,
just to go back to show myself you are doing the work. You are researching, you are going to networking events, putting yourself in different positions to expand your programs, and going to this being in other organizations and meeting weekly,
yeah,
like the Village United. You're doing the work, and nobody really sees that. They only see when you are, you're an honoree or you're
right.
making the news, and it's like I always say, I'm like, okay, but I know the real work is every day. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't think people really realize, and I wish that, and I hope that people can, from listening, and viewing today, to
Mm.
know the hard work that really goes behind running a nonprofit.
Yeah, I mean, that's so important to say. And one of the main reasons I started this show is that I wanted to kind of showcase that because the real work happens in those quiet moments by yourself, like when it's not or with your team, where you're not on stage getting an award, for
Yeah.
all these forms that you submitted or this thing that you had to go to that you were too tired to go to, but you went to anyway. Like all of those things are these little micro steps that eventually turn into something like what you have with Jamal Smiles.
Yeah.
So I think it's just so important for people to see that work that's kind of done behind the scenes.
Yes.
So in today's time, like where there's a lot going on and a lot of people are stressed out and kind of freaking out, about things that are going on in the economy and things like that. How do you kind of, stay positive in this environment that we're kind of going through and you're helping so many people? How do you kind of keep your focus and not get distracted by all the things that are going on?
Yeah, it's amazing that you asked me this question today, because my reading this morning was "Don't be anxious," and I always would say like, "I'm so anxious right now. I'm so anxious. I got so much like, don't be anxious."
Yeah.
And so I have to remind myself, if it's in your will, it will be done. I can't tune it, and that's why I say protecting like your energy. I can't
Mhm.
listen to certain things. Like I would read articles from credible sources,
Mhm.
but knowing that this is only you're only here temporary, and I can't worry every day. I can't stress every day of
Mhm.
all the things, because it is a lot. It's,
Yeah.
it's it's very scary, and it's very concerning. And
Mhm.
when you have individuals like the community I serve, they receive those benefits that they're trying to cut off, and they have cut, certain individuals off in their health insurance. And
Yeah.
so it does become very, for my mind, like
Mhm.
overload, because I'm
Mhm.
like, how can I get a grip on this? And so what I've
Yeah.
been learning is trying to stay ahead of the game. So
Mhm.
when that happened, okay, well, this is a backup plan. This is an organization that would provide you, just say I had the parent was, their health insurance was cut off. And
Mm.
so they needed to go to the dentist and they didn't have any insurance. So I
Yeah.
found an organization that they provide income based like dental work. And
Mm.
so just staying ahead of the game and knowing there's organizations out there that would assist individuals that can't, but still knowing that you just never know. And that's the unknown. I have to tell myself it's the unknown. You only can control what you can control. But
Yeah.
I always ask that I stay ahead of the game and knowing, okay, what organizations, what resources are there out there
Mm.
where I can let even for myself and let others know, hey, this is the new changes. Or I'll say, did you see this article? This
Yeah.
happening, so that's kind of really, really helped me to just stay kind of zen.
Mhm.
Okay, you're doing the work, you made the connections, and even if it's a phone call, hey, I'm the founder of Jamal Smiles. I just want to give you my name. I have individuals that may need to utilize your services, and I've
Yeah.
even for housing, for Section 8, I know a direct contact in Lafayette.
Mm.
So one of my participants was on the waiting list, and I was able to call and get her paperwork and those things, and making those connections. And so that's why I just always ask God to align me with the right people, to meet the
Yeah.
right people at the right time at the right place.
Yeah, that's perfect because, that's a big, big thing in being an entrepreneur. I mean, especially I'm sure as a nonprofit, is being a master of the pivot
Yeah.
and of the finding resources because so much is not just like easily like in the public sphere where you just know like okay this is where you get that like you have to become a master at like research and
Mhm.
finding out okay but what's another way I can do this because they are cutting this thing off, how can I find another way to do the same thing? So
Yes,
yeah.
that is very important.
Mhm. Yeah. So, how can our viewers and listeners learn more about Jamal Smiles and help your organization?
Yeah, so you can always subscribe to our website, www.jamalsmiles.com. You can follow us on Instagram and also Facebook, to stay connected, stay involved. So, yeah, that's how you can keep up with us.
Very cool. Very cool. And is there anything that you're kind of looking forward to in 2026?
Yeah, so next year, in this year, I have one graduate, but next year, I'll have four. And so I'm really looking forward to how I'm going to put this big thing on for all the graduates. I'm very, very excited for that. So that's my goal. I'm very focused on those, getting them just in a place of let's narrow down colleges.
Mm,
If it's the Air Force that you want to go to, or straight into the work field, so that's kind of my main goal, is really focusing and toning on those juniors and seniors that I have, um,
yeah.
set them up really well, because we all know, even though we're 18 and we're going into the real world, we
Hmm.
still have a lot to learn. And so I
Yeah.
really want to set this group up for full success. So
Very
that's,
cool.
that's what I'm looking forward to in 2026.
Ah, that's amazing. Well, I know you're gonna whatever you put your mind to is gonna happen. So
Thank
we're gonna
you.
look forward to that event because we know it's gonna be amazing. I hate to let you go
Oh,
because
no,
there's
this
so
is
much more
amazing.
to learn, but I'm sure you'll be back, right?
Yes, of course.
Awesome. So thank you again, Jenea, for being here. I'm so excited for what's to come for Jamal Smiles and your personal journey. And for all of y'all watching and listening, I hope you get inspired by Jenea's journey and let it motivate you to keep pushing towards your own big dreams because nobody could do what you do exactly the way you do it. And the world needs your specific kind of big dream energy. So until next time, thank you all for watching. And if you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe, all things. And we'll see you next time. So thank
I
you.
like to swim on a deep end, and